What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, joined by Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how are you?
I'm great, but not great enough because you got the fit of the podcast right now, Sean Woodland.
Explain that in a second. And featuring Tommy Marquez. Tommy, Dad Life Week 6? 5?
Yeah, we just ended 5, just started 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I'm underdressed with you've got the nice sweater. I've got a lip sweater. one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. So I got
Wait, have you talked about why you're rocking the mustache on here, Tommy?
I don't think so.
Well, okay, let's go. Let's start with that.
You did on the Q&A, but you got to tell
We'll
people
address
why.
both sweaters.
Okay.
I feel like every kid has some photo from themselves growing up, like as a baby, and their dad has like some weird mustache or facial hair configuration from days past that clearly shows that time has passed, and that you always look back on it with fondness. You know, like my dad had a stash and a mullet, and I'm always like, oh, look at that. And I don't want to rob my kid of that luxury. So I thought, well, what better way to do that than for the holiday season to shave into a mustache and make sure we take photos, right? So
I like that
way. Yep. When Miles is longer in the tooth, he can look back at the days when his dad had this mustache and little stinger up front, and and be like, that's hilarious.
It's funny because I can still remember that feeling of my dad's mustache. You know, it does stick with you. Yeah. So I got home from my 9 to 5 and I didn't even change. So that's why I'm dressed the way I am.
I mean, you look like you're ready for chestnuts roasting over an open fire.
You know, and okay.
Or going Christmas caroling.
Okay. So here's what we're going to talk about today. There's 2 things that have been announced that both pertain to the season that are both kind of on opposite ends. The first is what the World Fitness Project is doing. We're going to talk about that. And then the second is something that just got released today, and that is the Community Cup from CrossFit. So we're going to spend the show talking about those 2 things. Before we do that, we want to thank our first sponsor for today, and that is Kreatures of Habit and their high-protein overnight oats. If you guys haven't checked out Kreatures of Habit, now is a great time to do it. You can go to creaturesofhabit.com. That's creatures with a K. And you can order some of their great tasting overnight oats that literally take you seconds. Now, I can't even say minutes, seconds to prepare so that you have a tasty, healthy, protein-packed meal for either the next morning, the next afternoon, the next evening, or just when you're out and about and you need a snack. The Creatures of Habit flavors are fantastic. I'm really partial to the maple flavor. Oh man, so good, especially this time of year.
Strawberry walnut.
Strawberry walnut solid. You got peanut butter banana.
So good.
But each package comes with 30 grams of protein. It's plant-based, probiotics and prebiotics, omega-3 fatty acids. It's dairy-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, and it's soy-free. So you get positive vibes with every purchase with Creatures of Habit. So go to creaturesofhabit.com. That's creatures with a K. Use our code TEF, and you will save 20%. So I think we're a little late for stocking stuffers now. Okay.
You're behind the 8 ball if you don't have your stocking stuffers.
You can still, go and get some stuff, get yourself situated for that after holiday purge that we all do because we all eat terribly. And if you want to get back on the healthy train, Creatures of Habit is a great way to do it. So order that stuff now, get it on board, get your horrible eating out of the way in the next 5-6 days. And then you're ready to rock with Creatures of Habit. So we're really big fans of their stuff. Their overnight oats are fantastic. And again, 30 grams of protein. You can add even more and dress it up and make it fantastic. So we're all huge fans of Creatures of Habit. And we're really happy that they're on board. And I will leave the little QR code up there. So before we start here, I have to unburden myself and confess to something that I never thought I would do. And I have now done it. And I'm very scared that I did it so easily. I bought a pair of shoes at Costco.
Oh,
and I'm wearing them now. They're like brown, kind of like, and my wife pointed them out. She's like, those look pretty good. And I went, they actually do. And I bought them. And so now I feel like in this whole journey to being sort of irredeemably dad, if that is, I'm just like a braided belt and a cell phone clip on that thing away from the point of no return. So,
I mean, they do have a nice Tommy Bahama double-sided braided brown belt there.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah. See, I'm going to hold that off as much as I can, but I just had to.
Actually, didn't I get you a braided belt?
You did actually. Yes, you did.
From Costco.
So, and I think that, I don't know where that is, but it's not calling to me like, like the Ring of Power that it would in The Lord of the Rings. Like I'm not tempted to put that thing on yet. So
shoes at Costco. That's one big step.
That's where I'm at right now. That's where
pretty soon you're going to be buying socks. You're going to be buying like 54 pack of Hanes underwear. Then before you know it, you're going to be working on that Kirkland denim. And
Sean, that's when we will stop our. That's a good fit tonight.
There might need to be an intervention. I felt like I needed to confess
he would make you change before the podcast. Yeah. I will. Yeah, Tommy's got good fashion too, so we'll let you know.
I'll tell you what though, these shoes are comfortable. That's how they get you.
They're home shoes.
That's how they get you.
Comfortable too, Sean, but I don't think you're wearing those.
Okay. All right. That's Miles. I just heard Miles in the back.
Yeah, you can hear him. He's having a ball right now.
Is he having a blast?
He is.
Is he
just
getting
had
bigger?
bath time. He got changed up, and he's doing floor and tummy time.
Nice. Tummy time. I remember tummy time. Gotta teach him how to kind of do the thing.
How's Tiff feeling?
Good. Yeah, she's improving. She like taking daily walks and doing all that good stuff,
So for her.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay, let's get into first thing we want to talk about, and we'll do this in chronological order in which they were released. So we're recording this on Wednesday the 18th. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. And we are going to talk about, again, two things that happened as far as the season is concerned, both sort of at different ends of the spectrum. And the first being the World Fitness Project. This is something that was announced a couple months ago. There was sort of this thing that came out on social media, World Fitness Project. What is it? And now we have some more details as to what it's going to look like. And it's going to be something that more or less caters primarily to the elite athletes in the sport. So this is the post that went up. This was 4 days ago. And it's on Instagram. And the opening slide is the 2025 season overview. And then you scroll through and it says, the WFP is excited to launch a new competitive fitness league in 2025. With over 500 athletes at each competition, our structure brings athletes of different skill levels together to compete alongside one another. Okay, sounds cool. Competitive divisions, professionals. So the pro division is comprised of 20 signed male and female athletes and 10 challenger athletes. Pro athletes will compete for points throughout the season to lock down a top 20 ranking and earn their pro card for the 2026 season. So the way I understand that is that they're going to start with 20 athletes who are already signed to this competition that will be in the pro division, wherever the first of these two competitions, well, there's three. The first of three competitions are going to be. So each will have, at least the first two will have 20 predetermined athletes, and then 10 spots will be filled by qualifiers.
Mm-hmm. Because at the bottom too, it says sign league contract. So I assume that the World Fitness Project is reaching out to those athletes, or maybe they even have, similar to how CrossFit Games had worldwide ranking. Maybe they have their own ranking system that they're using for this. I'm unsure.
Yeah, that sounds right. And it also would be logical to assume that then in the next season, so 2026, if this thing lasts, that it just because you were in the top 20 in 2025 doesn't mean you're going to be there the following year. You get bumped out by someone, unless they're going to expand the field to now we have 30 signed athletes and then we're going to open it up to 40. I don't know, but that would make sense to me because you want to hang on to your spot in the top 20 and you could fall out and someone else could go in. All right, then it goes, next slide is competitive divisions. Again, this is challengers. Challengers are athletes striving to earn a pro card for the 2026 season, so the following year. By competing in tour events, challengers can earn points via the pro or challenger field to secure a spot in the finals and contend for a top 20 ranking and a pro contract. Okay? So there's a way for athletes to get in who aren't already in. Competitors are broken into age groups, skill level, and team categories. To participate, competitors sign up for their respective category to compete and earn their spot at the World Fitness Finals. And then there's a season timeline. So there's qualifier 1 for the challengers. It's 1 week, 3 workouts, and then 10 qualify. And now what I'm assuming is that those 10 athletes then qualify for World Fitness Tour number 1 along with the 20 signed athletes. Is that
yes?
Follow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Then we got Challenger Qualifier 2. That's another online competition. 1 week, 3 workouts, 10 qualify. World Fitness Tour 2. So those 10 qualifiers then join the 20 predetermined athletes. And then the World Fitness Trials. That's online, 1 month, 3 stages. It's open to all. And then the World Fitness Finals will occur. That's one event. It's a 3 to 4 day competition with 9 different workouts. Now, who qualifies to that? I'm not sure. But that's TBD. But
yeah.
So when both of you first read through this, and Lauren, we'll start with you. What were your initial thoughts on seeing this?
I think this looks really cool. I also like the format of having the athletes, and we've kind of kicked the can around to talking about, what the game season would look like if athletes had their pro card and didn't necessarily have to do the open and had invites. And I really like that format. And then having the, what are they calling it? The 10 athletes, the challengers. I think that is a unique way to build interest to athletes that might be up and comers, that might do well in this type of format. And I think, if you're thinking of sponsorship opportunities, I think that there are a lot of legs with this when it comes to profiling specific athletes. We talk about when the game season used to have miles to Madison. I don't know that anybody is willing to invest or do something like that for this, but I think that it could have legs to really set athletes up nice to storytell through an entire season. So I think that this is really cool. And especially if athletes can do this while potentially also doing the game season so that they can, still be relevant in both spaces. I imagine that athletes will do that if there's an opportunity for it.
Yeah.
A couple of things come to mind, and I agree with a lot of what Lauren says. First, I know a lot of athletes are hoping this takes off as an alternative to the game season, so ultimately they don't have to be tied to necessarily CrossFit's ebbs and flows as a sport entity. That makes sense. That being said, I like the way this is structured and formatted because it seems very clear and very simple and very I don't want to say scaled, but scaled, but yeah, maybe scaled appropriately for a year one thing. It doesn't seem like they're trying to do too much too quick. The time commitments for the online challengers aren't outlandish. The initial tour events don't seem crazy overdone. And then there's a clear kind of finals at the end. It seems pretty clear cut. And that ultimately this is going to have to be a stepping stone type year to be able to actually compete in the future in case that they do need to take over the premier spot as an event, a primary season that athletes go to. And at the same time, if they don't, it seems like this is pretty easily replicable year over year, if that makes sense. Because I think if you're trying to make it as a new season or a new competitive outlet, this is what always got me about the sanctional season. It felt like everything was thrown together so hastily that no one ever thought about what are the ramifications of running this multiple iterations year after year, money, all of these things. So, and we're hoping to have some of the organizers on our show soon. I would hope that this season structure was built with the idea in mind that if nothing changes, they can run this season 3 years at a minimum with whatever financing and budgeting that they have. They can run this 3 years to give it time to kind of grow and settle within the community. So it becomes a little bit, so momentum and energy around it starts to build. And you have multiple years of competitive highlights and results to point back to actually build some excitement and grow off of. So all that being said, I think that's a good start. And I like that they're putting this out there so quickly. I like that there's ways for people who are like, well, I'm not one of the 20 pro athletes. How do I get involved? It's pretty clear. You sign up for the online. For the first 2 rounds, it's only to get into 2 of the 3 major events, you only have to do 6 workouts total, which is a cakewalk for a lot of the athletes that are trying to get up to that level. And I also think it does a good job of catering to the multitude of athletes. Because let's be honest, I don't think every single athlete, depending on where they are in their reputation, career, should be treated the same. At least,
I agree with that.
at least with this like pro card style
Mhm.
system, right? Because that's one of the things we've heard for years from a lot of top athletes is like, hey, I've proven myself so many times. Things like the Open are just a formality for me.
Mhm.
I'm in no danger of not making it through the Open. So it's like, yeah, right. So, and we've talked ad nauseum about the idea of a pro card with people behind the scenes for the larger. I mean, honestly, I probably heard the idea first floated like a decade ago.
Yeah, I was going to say it's been 10 years.
And even more so like the last 5 years since really like everything's been on the table due to all the changes. So this does a good job of being like, hey, these pro established athletes, we don't need to have you guys like throwing down on these online comps 24/7. Like, especially if you're some of the older athletes that have proven yourself in live competition year over year and have earned your place, great. And there's still 33%, so a third of all the competition spots at any event are up for grabs for newcomers. So by ratio, that's pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
and I think pretty reasonable. So, and it also points back to your thing, Sean. Like by the time we get to the middle of the competition at the games, a lot of people aren't paying attention to Heat 1 at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Now, I think I like the 40-person field just because that's kind of how it's been, and it feels complete. Like we're still making space for a lot of athletes there that could potentially have impacts later on down the line. And we've seen that from athletes that have made big developments from year 1 and year 2 to year 3. But this just feels like it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not going to be the games, and if you're not going to try to be the games, you're going to try to be something unique and different, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for being actually different. And this feels like.
I think with the information that we have right now, I'm curious what both of your biggest questions are, because to me, it's what is the prize purse / earning opportunity? It says in there that the contracts are going to be signed. Does that mean that all of the athletes are going to have some kind of financial buy-in, like if you do the season? So the finances are one of the biggest questions, but then also with only 3 in-person events, where are they going to hold these?
Yeah. Well, so to your first point about prize person and earning opportunities, and we heard Pat Vellner say this last week in the interview that you guys did with him. It's like, it's money. Money's going to determine a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And I think too, I agree 100% with Tommy. Like this is sized appropriately to start. And I think like it'd be great. I would love to see something that had 6-7 in-person events with a long season. That's just not the smart way to do things right now. And I think we saw that 5 years ago with the sanctional system where it was just this free for all and everybody came in and it wasn't.
Oh my God, that was 5 years ago.
Exactly.
So long. It doesn't seem that long ago.
And something I said during that time is that as it kept growing, is like people and fans and athletes, I think for that matter, don't want more. They want better. So let's figure out how to make this better. So I think by starting with just 2 qualifying events, 1 championship, you allow yourself a longer sort of runway to make this work because you're not just, throwing all your money away in one season. You have to have a chance to build, and it makes these events, you can concentrate on making 3 events really good. The other question I have is what's the production value going to be for a viewing audience at home? Because I think that is going to be a major thing moving forward. Because it is very clear right now where sort of the bar is for live coverage. It's not very high right now. And the events that can do it at a high level will, be able to attract better sponsors,
the Rogue Invitational,
more money, and help grow the sport. Diehards will watch stuff on cell phones. They will. But to grow things, you need to, in my opinion, you need to present it in a certain way. So those are my biggest questions. Like, what are the plans to actually cover this?
Agreed. I mean, we've talked about this a ton too. Like, in order to make the sport financially viable long-term, you have to have people willing to invest money, whether that's because the eyeballs, which is, attention of fans is high, and you're going to produce it at a high level that like a TV contract or a big media partner deal which also means you can't be producing events at a low quality. Like Sean said, if your production is people running around with iPhones, then that's just not going to do it. Like you said, for certain events, that's okay. And that they don't care to be more than that. And that you give just enough so people can check in on their friends and family when they're competing, that's fine. But if you want to be a legitimate sport and actually grow and be able to walk into some company's boardroom like IMG and being like, hey, be a part of this, and you show somebody with an iPhone like rumbling around and breathing into their headset that they have plugged in through their lightning cable, it's just not going to do it.
No.
And so hopefully this allows for some sort of comprehensive thing, and that would be one of my questions, is like, what is your coverage plan? Like, where do you think the storytelling opportunities are? What is your coverage plan? How are you planning to leverage both internal and external media accordingly to tell the stories of your sport? And how are you going to do so in a way that feels distinct from what the games has or has not been doing in the last few years?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Because in the end, the inspiration motivation from this is going to be largely identical to the CrossFit Games, but given the temperature and the circumstances around the sport and just the general, I think, growing dissatisfaction from the sport over the last 6 years, like, what are you going to do that separates yourself?
Yeah, agreed. Where do you think, if you could do this ideally, 3 events, where do you think the best places to hold them would be? I mean, I think for me, 2 have to be
Europe.
2 have to be in North America, and if you can pull one off, you do it in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's just from a
I mean,
cost
that's just
perspective.
what's going to fill seats.
Yeah.
I know that we need to have them in North America because that is where a lot of our elite athletes are, and easier to get here for a lot of reasons. But I mean, Sean, you were at the Rogue Invitational. I heard what people were saying about the crowds. I heard people who were over at FitFest, and even though it was close to the Rogue Invitational, butts were still in seats there. Like, you can't deny that. And when that's also helping fund this thing by selling spectator tickets and not worrying about, are people going to pay and show up to your event? I don't know what it looks like logistically, but I think that a competition in Europe makes a lot of sense.
I would almost say it's a requirement.
Really?
At this point, yeah, because you have world in your name.
True.
It's not the North American Fitness Project.
I get
if
that.
You're really trying to say,
go ahead.
If you're really trying to say that we're going to try and make this a global thing, I think it just has to be included. I think you have to do one overseas.
I do wonder what it would be like to have one in North America, one in Europe, and one in Australia. Well, because they get crowds too.
Yeah, but if you're talking about a startup that wants to show proof of concept and do this first season as best as you possibly can, that's money going to Australia. That really like decreases your shelf life because you're expending a lot of resources early on. To me, like Europe and Australia, that's kind of phase 2, if not phase 3.
But the Down Under Championship is so successful with things like live stream, media, resources.
But they've been doing that for a while now. I mean, and maybe the infrastructure exists.
I wonder if they teamed up with them. Not the same competition, but
absolutely a possibility.
Utilized resources.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Yeah. I think Australia might be a half step too far just in year one. I think year one has to be Europe, where the energy is, I think, just at a fever pitch, and people are clamoring for live events there. And every time they have one, it seems like people show up in droves. I think one, to just show that you're serious, in making this a global project. And then honestly, so maybe you make one in the United States at a place where, you can run at a very basic, like, solid level with lower expenditures. And then maybe South America somewhere.
If you could put top name athletes in like Brazil.
Brazil would for that. And
they're some of the best fans too.
Because you also have to think, like, athletes have to travel to this too, right? Yep. So you need buy-in. You need the
Mm-hmm.
top 20 athletes to commit to going to these these first 2 tour stops and then the finals. And then you need to make sure with reasonable certainty that the 10 people that qualify are willing to fork out the money, unless you have some travel
Mhm.
arrangement that we're not aware of, are willing to fork out the money to make sure that they get there, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of where those athletes qualify for. Because what would really suck is if athletes that are in those top 10 start to, we go through a season of this, or it starts to become very apparent that making the effort as an outsider of the top 20 and being in that top 10 to go to one of these events just isn't worth it, then you lose buy-in for the season,
Yeah.
right? And if an athlete can't reasonably make it into the top 20 and have it be financially viable in a single season, then that doesn't really create a natural flow for that pro card system that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the schedule, what their details are and what their, precise schedule is to whether or not it sort of happens in breaks in the game season. So athletes can do both, which would be, it's great for athletes and more earning opportunities for them. But there's a lot of TBD here.
I can see the first 2 tour stops maybe being in North America or being in places where they have access to run an event fairly seamlessly without a ton of overhead.
Yeah.
And then maybe making the world finals somewhere cool. Right. Yeah. Because I think if this is the end of the season, for this season, a lot of people might be willing to do that travel.
Sure.
And again, we don't know the points structure, because that's another part, like the point structure how points are earned and maintained throughout the season. So if that world finals is worth more than other ones because it is the finals, then, maybe that's something to keep an eye on based on where they actually end up. Yeah. But there's so that's there's still plenty to be worked out, but in the very least, it's what is that, Leo DiCaprio? You had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Yeah,
but
and like Tommy said, we're working on getting some of the league organizers on the show soon, so hopefully we'll be able to talk to them. All right, let's shift gears and get into the next thing we want to talk about. But before we want to do that, we want to thank our other sponsor for today, and that is Thirdzy, the rest and recovery collagen that we all absolutely swear by when it comes to improving our sleep and our recovery. It's a nighttime collagen drink, 8 ounces of water, shake it up, drink it. You're going to fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and feel better when you wake up. It has GABA, L-theanine, and magnesium. Those ingredients help calm your central nervous system and promote good, deep sleep. It doesn't have any melatonin in it, so it's not habit forming. It tastes great. I look forward to drinking it every night. And if you go to thirdzy.com/TEF, so thirdzy.com/TEF, 20% automatically applied. So just thirdzy.com/TEF, 20% discount automatically applied. Get that stuff shipped to you. And you can get the travel packs, which, I know when we're all on the road, those are the first things that go in the bag. And
they don't come out of my suitcase. I just keep restocking them, so it's not even a thought when I have to pack.
I had to put something in my backpack today, and I was like, oh, pack a Thirdzy. Stays in there in case of emergencies. But it's great stuff. They're fantastic people. They do the right things for the right reasons. And we cannot recommend it enough, because it really does make a difference with your sleep. And when, Tommy is battling the dog days of fatherhood here, where you're not getting a lot of sleep, that stuff will help. You might get 5, but you feel like you got 7, so
Sean's at 4, Tommy's at 5, I'm at 10.
I got 5 last night. I feel pretty good. So pretty good today.
It's crazy how getting like 5 straight of uninterrupted feels like jet fuel now.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, thirdzy.com/TEF, you will save 20%. Next thing we want to talk about today, and this is the other thing that happened that got announced actually just today. Now, this is the Community Cup. This was something that was hinted at when the season structure came out, but there weren't a lot of details about it, and now we have the details. So what is it? The Community Cup is a fun, affiliate-based online competition to gauge where you sit against other athletes of similar abilities. You have to complete the 2025 CrossFit Open and receive your official level grouping you with other similarly skilled athletes regardless of age or location. All right. Levels will be identified based on placement in the open. Use the time between the open and community cup to tackle areas of your fitness you want to improve. Cool. During the community cup, throw down against others in your level to see who ranks highest in each tier. Who can compete? Anyone who completes all 3 open workouts is eligible for the community cup. Here are the details. There will be 3 workouts to complete over 1 week. Okay, that's easy. All workouts will be released the week before the competition to allow affiliates to plan ahead. While scores are entered online, the community cup must be done in an affiliate. Workouts can be completed in any order with all scores due by Sunday, June 15th. Each of the 3 workouts will be programmed with modifications to challenge each tier appropriately. I think this is pretty cool.
I think this is great. This is, to me, this is a better version of quarterfinals. And I loved quarterfinals, but I think that this is an upgrade.
I mean, I love this idea like 5-6 years ago. You know,
but okay.
But we're getting it now. We're getting it now.
Like,
all right, go ahead. Because I have something.
I don't know what necessity is the mother of invention. Sometimes, you know, like when were these cool community cup ideas? Where were they when you had the goodwill of the community behind you?
Okay, agreed.
And I'll say this: 2 things can be true at the same time. I think this is a good idea, and I think this is something that I would personally love to be involved, do as just a general person that likes to do the open, likes to do quarterfinals, likes to do all of these things. But everything feels like they're scrambling now to come up with ideas and try to win back people. That's just my personal opinion. It feels like they're doing these things when the playbook has been there for so long. We had the team series, we had the liftoff, we had these online events that were around for a long time that all fell by the wayside when the first changes happened. But at the same time, like nothing was preventing CrossFit from running these community type events over the last 4 years. Right?
Yes. I think that maybe their focus was on other areas of the sport. And now that I don't think it's wrong to assume that if we keep going the way we're going, that the elite side of things for the best athletes, the real money-making opportunities, will probably be organized by people outside of CrossFit, which means now your competitive quote-unquote season, for lack of a better term, is more of a community-based thing. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. And I think when you look at this,
that's totally fine.
Yeah, when you look at this community cup, like there's a lot of potential here. I think there's potential for the affiliates to say, hey, we can have a local throwdown. Let's all get together and do these. And you already have the divisions made for you because you know what the rankings are in the open. You can have a fun throwdown. The leaderboard's going to be pretty much done for you online. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of entry fee. But there's a lot of potential here. But I think one thing that this will be lacking, or I don't know, is, and it's the same question I had for the World Fitness Project. How are you going to cover it? What's the media going to look like around it? Because that to me makes a huge difference. Because if you can sort of take
in my mind, I wasn't thinking that there would be any.
Really? Why not?
To be total.
Well, I mean, that's an easy question. I shouldn't.
I would say I would say there has to be.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're trying to be more community oriented and you're going to run this big event, you're not going to tell community stories that are interwoven with that. Like that's the bridge between, CrossFit, the methodology, and then its application in CrossFit, the sport, for people that aren't the elite athletes. It'd be like, you gotta tell these stories, right? You got to get the Grandma Bettys, you got to get the Constances, you got to get the people that are going to come out and do this and maybe get, I treat it as an extension of the cool stories that we love during the open, the first pull-ups, the first unassisted burpee, the first time, insert new movement unlocked for person here.
Yeah.
Like that all has to be a part of it. I just feel like, it's a great idea, but it's just, I assume you're going to be asking for more money from people who are already hesitant to give you money.
Yes.
Right. And this feels like your deadbeat ex showing up unannounced cleaned up and like, hey, I've changed, I'm better now. And it's like, okay, am I just supposed to give you like, just say, okay?
Mhm.
No, you kind of have to prove it to me a little bit more than that to actually figure something out, assuming that door's not already closed, which I'm sure it is for a lot of people. So it's kind of like, this is a great idea, but yeah, let's make sure that let's do it, which I'm sure they will, and don't give up on it. Like, keep making these types of investments,
Well-
and don't just be doing it because the person
So-
hit, like, go back to the deadbeat X analogy. They hit rock bottom and now I'll change. It's like, okay, because you walked out on them.
Don't you think though, if they are pivoting away from the elite and the professional level, which I'm not saying they are, but it does seem like they're at least starting to look more like, okay, what are we going to do for the community? Because the earning opportunities for the best might be someplace else. That if they make that sort of pivot, that they will have more of a runway to do this longer, as opposed to the usual, well, that was one season, now we're doing it differently this year, because it's all community based. There's not a ton riding on it. So they can continue to just do it. And it's low overhead. They don't have anything all they got to do is put the leaderboard up and maybe judge some videos.
Yeah.
But this is also why I think that the sport and the affiliate or methodology should be a separate thing, because I'm cool with CrossFit HQ leaning into this and utilizing the budget that they would have had for, a broadcast at all of these other sport specific things at community events like this, and showcasing the methodology, and Grandma Betty who gets her first chest to bar or pull up. I love that kind of stuff, but I feel like you can't just do 50-50 in both. You have to lean in fully in one way, and then maybe let somebody like the World Fitness Project take over for the elites. And then maybe we'll see some other competitive seasons that allow the elites shine. Yeah. I'm cool with them doing this. I just would hate for it to be half-ass,
Well,
so two things. One, I think if they were smart, they would have done this a while ago, and they would have done it the way things like Strength and Depth do. When Strength and Depth was running a semifinal, they integrated a community competition that had been building up for a while in that event. So you had more people in there supporting and more people competing that weekend as well. You could have taken this community cup and used it as an access point for the other live events that you're doing. Something we've been trying to convince people to do for a long time, and that long-standing events like the MAC have been doing for over a decade. Like Wilson and that crew have been doing it forever. Yeah. And it has been a way to help support the sports side. Like I don't necessarily agree with the notion that they have to be separated. They just have to be done better.
Yeah.
You just have to find a way to actually, but I do agree with the second sentiment. You can't like 50-50 both, but there is a way to go all in on both in a way that makes sense, right? That actually executes on both in a way that is like kind of harmonious for both sides.
But don't you think it's been a lack of people in positions, just a lack of bodies to make both happen?
I think it's just a lack of everything. I don't think it's just a lack of people. I think it's a lack of people, a lack of effort. I think it's people sitting on a lack of creative drive, and I think it's just literally across the board. You can name their deficiencies that have prevented them from executing on this, and it's and this is where it also is tough for me. As Sean, some of the points that Sean said, has any of the decisions that they've made around the sport, the community in the last 2 to 3 years give you confidence that they're going to stick with this and pour in the resources necessary to execute on this long term?
Well, I think that depends where the level, where the bar is set with this. If this is just, hey, it's a community event we're going to do, and we're just going to put the leaderboard up, that's easy for them to do.
But is that something that's going to have legs long term? Do you think people are going to care about that?
I don't think it matters. I think as long as they're
cared about quarterfinals,
as long
as
there's
no coverage on that,
revenue outpaces their expenses. Yes. But
then you're also speaking to a mindset that makes me feel like it's the X isn't the deadbeat X is making good on their word again,
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Well,
okay, so
okay.
that's the mindset. That's
A
just
lot
you're
of
gonna-
us,
you're gonna-
unfortunately, go back to the deadbeat.
It
ex.
happens. And look, not to be Pollyannish,
Not after you go to
but
therapy. Maybe more people just need therapy.
yeah, no, I mean, and not to be Pollyannish about this, but maybe they see it's an opportunity for them to maybe build something here. And I'll tell you exactly what I would do with these is I would make sort of like a community cup weekend, and I would find gyms around the world who are doing this on the Friday, and I would have a show that lasted all day where you could have kind of like they did with the podcast coverage for the semifinals, right? Mm-hmm. That level of production doesn't work for that level of an event, but that level of coverage might work for this because now this is a community event. And you can, and Tommy and I messed with this like 5 years ago. We did like a Friday Night Lights thing during the Open where we had like 3 or 4 gyms that we would check in with, and they could go around the world, and it doesn't take much. All you need is an iPhone and an internet connection.
This is where it's relevant.
Right. And it's low, it's like low overhead, and you could make it like a cool thing on the CrossFit Games YouTube channel. You could dress the show up a little bit. You say, hey, now we're going over to CrossFit Reykjavik. They're having a throwdown here. Let's check in with this person, what you got going on. You can highlight the affiliates. You can show some cool athletes, and you can make it a true community-focused thing with not a lot of output. And if you can do that really well at a low level, then there's a chance to maybe build on that. But like this is something to me that has it has a lot of potential if they have the wherewithal and the desire to execute it properly.
I mean, I would love to see it build. Like I could even see that being a second, like a penultimate stage, like a semifinal type stage. Mm-hmm. I would love to see it integrated with the affiliate summit that they're running.
Yeah.
If you have this big end of year affiliate celebration that CrossFit used to run back in the day, it would be at like, Big Sky or, some, resort location, whatever, where affiliate owners are invited. It's this huge festival. Information's being shared. You'd get kind of the State of the Union address. And if you're going to do that, like integrate that in somehow, make it a true festival. Hey, we're celebrating all these different things. And there's also going to be like this fun community oriented event. Cause even then we would we had the Big Sky throwdown that would happen, but that was with elite athletes. Like, make that whole weekend about the community. Build up to something. I think what a lot of people miss is people when they train or when they get into these things, they want to have something to look forward to, almost like a vacation, right? That event, whether it's your team of 3 from your local gym qualifying for intermediate at Wadapalooza, that's like a once a year type trip or vacation for them that they plan around. So give them that milestone to shoot for, right? Don't shy away from it. Like people will travel for these things if they also know, hey, there's this huge affiliate summit and this huge, cool, just like all things CrossFit type event. Make it something worth traveling for. And they already do the affiliate summit anyways. I don't know the current status of that because it's probably changed year over year. But yeah, if you integrate that in well, that it could be a awesome celebration in a way that doesn't necessarily feel like it's just catered to elite athletes. And like you said, you could do that like podcast production style stuff and it'll be fine because people aren't expecting the CrossFit Games on CBS type stuff.
Yeah. I think that it has a lot of potential. It's just what do they want to do with it? And for me, what I like too is like, if I'm going to sign up for one of these things, I know, all right, I'm going up against people with similar abilities. Like sometimes that's what keeps people out of competitions and it doesn't matter what the sport is. I'm sure, Tommy, you've played in like basketball tournaments where there's a team that's playing in the division that should not be in the division. It's just like loaded with a bunch of ringers. They drop down and then they wind up winning. Like I remember playing in hockey tournaments like that, where it's like, oh yeah, that guy used to play in the NHL. I'm like, what the hell is he doing out here with us beer leaguers?
Work softball leagues.
Right.
Have you ever been on one of those?
Oh my God, they always got like 3 or 4 ringers that they bring out and that's it, right? That's what people do. But with this,
my friends play on a softball league. They haven't lost a game in 13 years.
Right? This is not fun.
Oh
13 years.
God, come on.
That's
now.
not fun. One of the best run beer league hockey leagues that I ever played in. Like the guy who ran it was super involved, and he would pull people off teams and say, no, you're going over there. That team needs to get better. And it was competitive and it was fun. So my point is, like, you show up to one of these community cup events or you're going to compete, you're not going to get your doors blown off because you're in the division. And for me, I'm like, okay, I like competing, but I don't like getting my ass kicked. So if I lose, but I know I'm competitive, okay, fine. But if I know that, the local semifinal athlete from down the road is going to drop down into my division. It's like, well, what fun is that? That guy's got it once. So yeah, I like it. I think it could be a lot of fun
for sure. And I think
go ahead, Tommy.
Well, I was going to say that
Lauren, go. Lauren's first.
Okay. We got to give credit where credit's due. And they communicate. This is the earliest they've communicated, I think, anything with a date that we can put on our calendar and the amount of workouts that I got to give it to them. Thank you. I'm going to look right into the camera. Thank you, CrossFit, for laying this out, not breadcrumbing, giving us the details that we need to now let people plan ahead. So hats off.
And I'll say one of the reasons why I said this was a great idea 5 years ago. Remember when we went to the ranch and interviewed CASRO the first time?
Yeah.
After the 2019 games, I think it was his first actual interview that he did.
That was the first time you guys interviewed him?
No, at the ranch. I think it was the first time
for the podcast. The first time we interviewed him, the first time he actually accepted an interview, I think it was at the ranch after the 2019 games. But he started talking. We were talking about this back then in 2019.
Yeah, he was
5 years ago. He was, and we were talking about it behind the scenes with this is a really good idea. Yeah. This badge ranking system, use it for a community event and access to other events. But then it just went nowhere.
Yeah. Because again, I think they were so focused on how do we make, and that's, whether that's good, that's the right or the wrong thing. But think about who was still in the building there. There were still the people that were like, we're going to build this into a legitimate sport and focus on the biggest production. Now that doesn't seem to be the case. They're more concerned about the community and things like that. And I'm okay with this. I think this is a good move by them.
I think truthfully for the last 4 to 5 years, they've been plagued by people who are more focused on their own self-interest than they are actually supporting the sport. That's what's been the biggest drag down.
Well, and then they haven't had any consistency. That's the other thing. It's hard when you don't have the same people in there calling the shots year after year who have a vision that they're executing on with a prolonged plan. Yeah. I mean, I guess you can kind of make that argument with quarterfinals. They sort of tried that, but again, the people who came up with that system and who initially implemented it are not there anymore. So
there's been a lot of change.
Yeah, that is the understatement of the year. But I think two good things, right? World Fitness Project catering to the elite athletes and possibly giving us an opportunity to get to watch in-person live competitions between the best in the world, and something that is made for the everyday gym goer who likes a chance to compete. And that's why I like the Open at 5 weeks, because it was my chance to throw down for 5 weeks. Now it's like you do the Open, you get a little break. Okay, what's my rank? Where do I need to work on? What things do I need to work on? Okay, I got until June, and it gives you something to look forward to. And I think it's great. And I also love the fact that there are going to be local affiliates who can all get together and do this. They don't need to program anything. They don't need to run a leaderboard. They don't need to, they just get people together and throw down, kind of like old school 2010, 2009 CrossFit, where you just got
the good old days.
So more deals
back
to come. Back in our day. Exactly. Okay, so those are the two major things we want to talk about. Anything more that you two want to add on that before we go to community support and PRs and no reps?
I guess the only way to compete in this is if you do the Open.
I do the Open.
Yes, correct.
I think some people will find that kind of disingenuous. Is the only way to pay us is to pay us.
But how are you? Okay,
how are you going to know your ranking or your division?
They got to have a system to rank people.
I see what you're saying, Tommy, but
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's a wholly truthful or founded in logic type stance. But there are people being like, okay, so the only way I can participate in this community event is if I,
participate in the Open. Step one. It's like your season. Like you can't get to the playoffs if you don't play the regular season.
But playoffs only matter for pro athletes.
Well. Still, it's just something to shoot for.
I'm playing devil's advocate at this point.
I got you. Okay. Do we have any community support that we need to get to? I'll just say this while you're looking. It's the holidays.
Yes.
It's a rough time for some people out there. Check on your people. That's just my community support. Check on your people. Give them a call. Don't text them. Give them a call. See how they're doing. Check in on people.
100%.
It's a good time of year to do that. Reconnect with your friends directly, not through a keyboard. something like that. If you do have something out there that you want us to get the word out on, send it to us either via our personal Instagram pages, our Talking Elite Fitness account. Include as many details as you possibly can, because we like to make sure we're sending people to the right spot to get the people the help that they need. All right, PRs, no reps to close us out. I actually have a no rep.
So do
What
I.
is that?
I'm gonna no rep HBO Max, man. How do you not re-up with Sesame Street? Like it's been around since 1969. What are we talking about here? This is something that is universally good. And you're not going to produce any more new episodes of Sesame Street. Someone's got to pick this show up. Like, it's like, come on. What are we doing here? That show is fantastic for kids. It's been around since 1969. Okay. I grew up on it.
Wow.
Why can't we have that anymore?
Do they have a reasoning?
Probably money. Everything
Yeah.
comes down to that. But
You're right. It's sad.
Sesame Street. Someone pick that up. Netflix looking at you.
What? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, what? I thought, like, is there going to be a world where there's no Sesame Street?
There can't be that. There can't be. Not now. We need Sesame Street. My son's watched it a little bit. It's great. It's great for kids. It's a great show. It's just something that is universally good.
Cookie Monster's amazing.
There's no one says Sesame Street. That's horrible.
Sucks.
It's been a part of everyone's lives. Let's just find a way to keep that around. No rep to HBO. Lauren, what's your no rep?
Tommy and I talked about this on the podcast when I was late the other day. My no rep is people who are in a relationship and you're still on dating apps. Watch out, because I will find you.
Oof.
My friends will call me. They will tell me the situation and nobody is safe. I will investigate your ass. So lock it up.
You've been warned.
Lauren's like the damn Pink Panther up in here.
In men's defense,
I don't need much information to investigate someone.
I'm sure there's people on both sides of the dating side, because
men and women.
I had a woman tell me
100%.
one time. She said, "You know what? You got your man on ice."
Oh, jeez.
So let's be inclusionary of this.
Did I
let's be inclusive.
specify
That's
a
the word I'm
gender?
looking for.
I mean anybody.
No, okay,
if
good.
you think that somebody is cheating on your significant other,
I'm sorry.
send me some info and I will do the research. I'll add my Venmo link.
Lauren's gonna have a Dateline show where she does this to catch a two-timer.
Oh my God! Wow.
MTV has a show called Cheaters.
Take
It's
that.
all about that.
There you go. Yeah, it's already been done.
I'll do a spinoff. Who knows?
Tommy, no rep.
I'm gonna no rep owls.
Who?
What? That's
The animal.
Bad joke.
The apex predator of was good.
You didn't get that, Tommy.
That one went whoosh, right over my head. It came right back and smacked me upside the face.
Take your thirds. You get more sleep.
The datarang. Right?
Yep, exactly. Oh yeah. So I was out for a run a week or so ago, and it was dusk. Sun was setting, and where I was running was pretty rural. So once the sun starts to set, the canyon that I was running through gets really dark very quick. And I'm running by some rural neighborhood houses, and suddenly I see this big shadow fastly approaching me in the corner of my eye up ahead. I turn up to see these two gigantic eyes, claws out, and huge wings, as this owl realizes suddenly that I'm not a mouse or small vermin.
I thought owls were supposed to have really good eyesight.
Like, what is? Boy.
That's why I'm no rep, and they need to get them eyes checked. And this owl pulls up from me like maybe a foot. Like I thought I was getting clawed at.
Damn.
And I was trying to deduce what happened, but so I was wearing a neon hat, like a high vis hat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a Buttery Bros hat, go figure.
Of course, neon.
Yeah, neon that tracks.
And now that I come to think of it, that owl might have been Sean trying to put me out of my neon misery. But
come on, he likes Shabuzi now.
That's true. That's true.
I enjoy a good Shabuzi song. That is true.
When I run, I have a small I either put on my Garmin watch flashlight or a small running light that I have that just kind of goes back and forth and, hits the ground. One, so I can see my footing in front of me. Two, so if cars turn the corner on this rural mountain road, they see the light flickering, and so they slow. And I think it saw the light flickering and maybe thought, hey, that looks like a tasty treat running across the ground, and saw the hat, and then suddenly was like, oh, that's a large Hispanic man. That's not a snack. And pulled up. And I'm not going to lie, I was in full fight mode.
I would have told, man.
I was like, I'm going to get sliced up, but I'm about to punch an owl. And it pulled up, turned around, and hightailed it to the nearest telephone pole. And I was like, what was that? Was that a hawk or whatever? And then I could see the outline because there was just enough light from the sunset silhouetting it. And its head turned like 180 on its side. I was like, oh, right, it's an owl. Yes. And then I heard it didn't sound like a nice chocolatey coo. It was like this like Czech, like hooing at me, like, what the hell are you?
It's funny that you mentioned the flight mode. My brother, we used to live in Baltimore, and I guess he got a bat like buzzed him one time by surprise, and he got it on, I guess, one of his Ring cameras or something. And he goes, man, he's like, I'm so ashamed. I didn't know the noise that came out of me could come out of me. He goes, I shrieked like a little girl. Like I was like, ah! Like when this thing came out, like it was not the most, he goes, it wasn't my most manly moment, but yeah, you do weird things when you get started like that.
Totally.
All right. Switching to PRs. I'm going to PR Maurice Jones-Drew. Mojo from De La Salle High School, Jacksonville Jaguars, head of the Ramley right now. He's the color commentator for the Rams radio broadcast, but he is fantastic on NFL Game Day Final. If you have I don't know what highlight you watch at the end of the football day, but he just genuinely has fun. He makes you laugh out loud. He's got a great rapport with the host. He's a great guy. I mean, he was one of my favorite players to talk to when he was with the Jaguars. He was always super nice to me. And he just is the sort of person that you love watching. And I was like, man, he does a good job. Makes me laugh out loud, makes me more invested in the highlights. So good job, Mojo. PR to Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yep, he played at De La Salle up here in Northern California. And my junior year of high school, we had agreed to basically play them my senior year. And so naturally all of us are like, all right, like, let's see what the deal is with this like number one team in the country. My junior year was his senior year, and he had just signed to go to UCLA. And we started watching highlights, and I just remember all of us looking around because he's a wrecking ball.
He's built like a circle.
He's like 5'5". Yeah, he's 5'5". I mean, and he would just come out like a shot out of a cannon. And I remember looking to one of our coaches and be like, he's graduating, right?
Thank
and they're
God.
like, yeah. Like, whoo.
But yeah, just does a great job.
Not going to get lower leverage on that guy.
Does a great job. Lauren, PR.
I am going to PR everybody that puts up holiday lights, because I can't tell you the amount of joy that runs through my veins when I'm driving when it's dark and I just see all of the holiday lights. I don't care if they're the colored ones. I don't care if they are the bright white lights. Any lights this time of year will put an automatic smile on my face.
Just do it right.
You know come on. No, I don't care if it's done wrong. It makes me happy.
One that what drives me nuts is where there's like no rhyme or reason to it, and there's like one random blinking strand that just is out of place. I'm like, what? Why? And I have a very good friend of mine. His parents are notorious for that. It's just like they just vomit stuff out, and there's no rhyme or reason. Like this strand's blinking, and that one's doing this. It's like really. So that's my only caveat. Love holiday lights. No, I am very much. I have my opinions about Christmas lights, but just do them right. Just do them right. Just don't throw them. And those nets that people put over, that doesn't count. That's a lazy man's way.
That's lazy.
That's a lazy way out. Don't do that.
Unless it's a holiday themed Spider-Man display, but
that could be good.
Work. Tommy, PR.
I got two PRs. One, I'm going to PR Will Edmonds. So Will Edmonds is a reporter for CNN Sport. He's done some work covering the CrossFit space back in the day. Got to meet him through that. He got more involved in his health and fitness journey, I think, as a result of it. But I've kept in touch with him over the years. I think he was Atlanta-based for a long time. But he posted today that he had a commitment to getting below 200 pounds, and he hit that goal today.
Good for him.
So
amazing.
He is a Brit living in the United States, and
that's the PR horn.
He's an awesome dude. I've always enjoyed his company and chatting with him. And I saw that on social media to congratulate him and give him some shine here.
Nice job, man.
Good on you, Will.
All right. Yep. Next PR.
My
Final
other
PR.
My other PR is FX. FX has the movies. And when they say that in their tagline, they mean it.
Yeah.
I have seen more movies via FX over the last month. I've basically watched the entire Infinity Saga all over
There you
again.
go.
I've watched
Upholding the kid, right?
Today me and Miles got to watch Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
And I'm like, hey buddy, look, there's your namesake
are.
right there. Yep.
That's awesome.
So it's your Tokayo.
Yeah. Oh, I got to PR the season 2 Severance trailer. Looks so good. Yeah. Aaliyah Miller, big fan, by the way. So I've connected with, we're Severance buddies now. So, and some other people reached out to me as well.
Okay.
That just reminded. I'm going to PR The Penguin, the show The Penguin.
Oh, is it good? I'll have to check it out. All right. I've been watching Dune Prophecy.
Is that a kid's show or an adult show?
It's an adult show.
It's an adult show.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, new Superman trailer tomorrow as the DC universe kicks off anew.
Yeah.
James Gunn.
So this Penguin show picks up right where the last Batman film leaves off.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one movie was pretty good. I actually watched that on the plane. I was like, all right. Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, this Penguin show is very good. And I like when it shows the inner workings of organized crime, but in a way that's kind of humanizing to an extent, you know, almost the way that's what was good about The Godfather. This in some ways feels very like that.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for today. Next week is Christmas week here. So we're going to see if we can put something together, something fun just to keep you entertained.
Can we all wear Christmas sweaters?
I don't have, do I have one? I think I have one. I can dig one up.
You got one.
That'd be fun.
I can probably find one.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll do something.
Or go to,
We'll figure something out. If we do something, it's going to be fun. Won't be too serious. Just get you through maybe some holiday travel. And then that'll be our last show of, I think, maybe.
We got to do our review show still.
That's probably going to be we'll probably just do our reward show next week, our award show.
Our awards. Yeah.
So we'll figure something out there. But anyway, want to thank our sponsors, Creatures of Habit and Thirdsy, creaturesofhabit.com. That's creatures with a K. Use our code TEF 20%. Thirdsy.com/TEF 20% automatically added to your order or taken off of your order. 20% discount taken off your order. Two great companies with fantastic products. Please help them out because they've been really good to us. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching, everybody. For Lauren and Tommy, I'm Sean. Take care of each other. Be better. And we will talk to you guys next time.
1, 2, 3, go! Like a kiss at the start of a first date. If it's good, I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking it.